Yeah, good everyone, and a warm welcome to everyone, and especially our guest for today's coming to Professor Sani Harmony from the University of Hartford, USA, to deliver the serious endowment lecture. The Department of Communication is by Dalina Krishna, Department of Communication Journalism. So I would like to invite Dr.C.V.S.SARMA, please put up with scientific mandates and management of the dayas and decide right now. I also invite Dr. Nigma, the head in charge of the council. I invite Dr. Sandeep Pipuri onto the diet, the Europe. I'm right senior most professor of the department and ex-vice chancellor, Dr. Vika Bhavan. So he was our teacher. I think except also Nigma, we were all his students. C.V.S.SARMA was the first teacher in the Department of Communication Journalism. When the department was established in 1983, he was the first teacher. At that time, we had only two teachers, Professor Durga Bhavan and C.V.S.SARMA. But then, I think we got the opportunity to interact with the various journalists across the country and directors and actors and filmmakers, because C.V.S.SARMA was, always adopted innovative methods of teaching. He inculcated interest, gene, and creativity among the students. I think he influenced hundreds of students of communication journalism from both Mahila University and the University of Hyderabad. He worked here from 1983 to 89, and he resigned and moved to the University of Hyderabad and worked there. But unfortunately, he passed away at a very early age. But I think he's always a source of inspiration to students. He's a great teacher and a narrator. He's a poet. Because when we used to teach the audio production, I used to feel that when I'm watching a movie in the classroom. It's a great narrator. So we missed him a lot. And Professor Sandeep was also his student at University of Hyderabad. He moved to USA for his PhD and worked there in universities and several held several positions. Anyway, Professor Vani will introduce him. When he proposed this topic, and I was really excited, because we all experienced the digital transformation, the content development and access to the content and consumption of the content is significantly altered because of the digital platforms and digital tools. So, and my experience with the Center for Disability Research, I was a part of a center was established as a part of the center. It was established with the funds from the UGC, and then this center also funded the faculty and students to take up this research. So I worked along with my team with the 30 people, including the students, for 2 years. So when they were doing the research, I felt, communication dimension is very important for many disciplines. That I felt the need for it, and even the researchers from the either it is home science people working on neurocyticals or microbiology people working on sickle cell, and the gender studies people are working on transgender issues, or physical education is working on say stress management, EQ levels. They've done interdisciplinary project. They felt the importance of incorporating the communication element and translation component in their research. So I was really excited, when I saw this topic, because people from different disciplines can connect with this topic and also apply in their discipline when they take up a research. So I'm really looking forward to listening to you. Sandeep, thank you. For fitting this, event in your schedule. He came on a Fulbright Nehru scholarship for 8 months to India. So thank you, Sandeep. Thank you. So I invite Professor Vani to conduct the.
Honorable Chief Guest and today's President RD, which is the head of the department, and my colleague and my student also, Professor Vijayalakshmi, and my dear students. Why do we remember today Sri Ramaji Rao? Being a journalism graduate, of course, our students would understand that. But even other students, who are there, some law students I found there, already know that. He is a great entrepreneur of India. And he is known for his, he was considered as the media tycoon. Because why people consider him like that? Because of the innovation and entrepreneurship he has introduced in various areas, not only in media, film, entertainment, and education, which makes him to remember forever as one of the best Telugu speaking person who think about the people and also the nation. And he was remembered well also when there were natural calamities. The work he has taken up through media and also on his own, and raised funds and constructed the permanent buildings at various places in India. For example, in Kerala floods, and also in Gujarat, earthquakes, in Bhopal gas leak tragedy, he developed the whole settlement for the people who are affected in that area. So he always he thinks differently than whatever he was doing. So that when we look at the media, when he first started Hinadu, at 5 o'clock in the morning, paper was under the door of every household as a pilot study on free of cost. And when he introduced the first person who introduced Hinadu, when Hinadu was introduced on the Jyoti Andhra Patrika, the language was much more like classical newspapers, or otherwise we can say that English language. But he was the person who thought about it and introduced even the district editions and focused on the colloquial language. And also he inspired and he used to tell, even I think I heard from one of the Osmania University students. I think he delivered a lecture in Osmania University journalism students, and he told them, when I visited Japan in Tokyo, I found the newspapers as Tokyo West, Tokyo North, Tokyo East and West, South and North. So from that we got the idea of introducing the district editions. So not only meeting the needs of people through the hook and corner of even the hilly areas also, tribal and hilly areas and the rural communities, but at the same time he is an entrepreneur thinking about how to catch even the audience in that areas to publicize through advertising. So that means that he had the quality of blending both the commercial aspect and also the social aspect. So that we fondly remember him that he is a successful person in India in the area of business. And when you come to the journalism, you know that he started Enadu newspaper. Before that, in 1960s, he said, first of all, he worked as a journalist here. Beginning of his career, he was a copywriter in advertising agency at Delhi. And that beginning himself started and he's done so many businesses. One advertising agency, then again, the first industry he started was the Priya Pickles. Then again, the most successful business of his was Margadarsi Chicks. And later, Enadu. News Time also, an English version was introduced. And later, the most, maybe the significant event in Andhra. Significant contribution of Mr. Ramoji Ravi's Ramoji Film City. And when he inaugurated that film city, he himself told that the producers should come with the script and the goes out of my place with the film. That is his dream, and that was fulfilled today. And we know that everybody knows that how the Ramoji Film City has its own credibility in the world of film industry. So naturally, being services in the areas of film, journalism, media, and business, the government of India honored him with the second highest civilian award, Padma Vibhushan. And people, of course, they recognized him. There are now, and one more thing, when we talk about like him, there are so many things to share with you. But the most important thing I would like to share today to the students here at Padmavati Women University, that he instituted in 1994 on February 18th, Enadu Endowment Lecture in the Department of Communication and Journalism. And the first endowment lecture on the campus, and he himself, with his signature, has sent a letter to the legal vice chancellor of Philomena Roy Paretti, stating that the media should always concentrate on social development. So the theme should be communication and social development. And the ENADU endowment lecture was instituted in our university. And so many stalwarts in the area of journalism have visited the university, and the students were very much benefited. And later, he instituted so many gold medals also for journalism students, for Telugu students, and also he contributed. And recently, when we wrote that we are enhancing the deposits to meet the maybe the higher prices of all these, preparing these gold medals and all. Then again, when I was the vice chancellor in 2016, again he has sent 10 lakhs rupees to the university to meet that for the gold medals of Telugu department and also the journalism department. So today, fondly, I request my colleagues on the dais and you also to please get up, and also we have to pray for 2 minutes silence after we offer flowers. And this is only fond remembrance of the person who is a stalwart and in the area of journalism. Thank you for your patient listening.
Morning, one thing. This morning, just on the guys, my dear students, and happy here today. My interaction with our association with people of Dr.C.V.S.SARMA is very, very small. The time I was a student 1 year, and again for a period of 1 year, I was fully in Denmark. And the school, as Jayalakshmi said, his teaching and his method of presenting the stories to us is very memorable, and still we remember 2 or 3 stories and we repeat it in our classes now also. And I'm happy to introduce Professor Sandeep R. Mukherjee, who is here to deliver the endowment lecture today. His biodata runs into 7 pages. It is very, very long, but I have read it. And he had education at Bowling Green State University in Mass Communication in 1999 and MA University of Hyderabad Mass Communication and Television Production in 1991. And then he had his graduation from Usmania University in 1986. Sandeep R. Mukherjee is a professor of communication in the College of Arts and Science, University of Hartford, USA. He has close to 30 years of global experience in administration, research, filmmaking, and teaching at institutions around the world. His research interests are in international communication and communication for social change and empowerment. He has a doctorate in mass communication from Bowling Green State University. He is a prolific scholar and media producer, co-authored edited books, over 50 plus chapters, referred journals and other articles, numerous media productions, and over 80 plus referring conference presentations and invited talks. Dr. Mukherjee served as the Associate and Director of Special Programs at Eastern Connecticut State University, in addition to various leadership roles at the University of Hartford, including as the Special Assistant Provost for Strategic Initiative, Chair of the Institutional Review Board, the Associate Dean in the College of Arts and Sciences, the Director of the School of Communication, and as the Director of the Graduate Program in Communication. Dr. Mukherjee also served as the Secretary General of the Pan Asia non-profit, the Asian Media Information and Communication Center in Singapore. In his various administrative capacities, he had led efforts in strategic planning, academic program review, student learning outcomes assessment, accreditation, fundraising, educational technology, institutional review, faculty development, among other capacity building initiatives. Dr. Mukherjee is a successful and innovative teacher. He has a trained peer reviewer for the Center for Teaching Excellence and Innovation and has been a leader in integrating technology in the classroom. In 2021, he was honored with the Oscar and Social Trachtenberg Award for Distinguished Service to the University of Hartford. Committed to ongoing professional development, he is a 2017-18 fellow of the American Council on Education, 2007 alumnus of the Management Development Programs at Harvard University, and a 2005-2006 fellow of the Journalism and Mass Communication Leadership Institute for Diversity of the Association of Journalism and Mass Communication. And to highlight his achievements, I just want to inform you that the research awards, grants, and fundraising has almost raised more than 16, 16 plus lakhs of rupees to the institute. So it's really in US dollars. So thank you. Now I request Dr. Sandeep to deliver his endowment.
Thank you for being here. That, uh, 1 year. And thank you, Professor Vijayaratham and Durgavani and Professor Nilima for getting me here. It's a privilege and an honor for me to be here for the Body Association with Dr.C.V.S.SARMA. And so, as a student, as a friend, as a colleague, it's my distinct honor to be invited to deliver this lecture, this memory. Briefly talk about CVS for a minute and then get into why I chose this topic and why it's relevant. To talk about CVS, as those who know it, is to think about a lot of good memories and a few sad ones. Right? I mean, he was an enigma, a lovable enigma in terms of you thought you knew it, but still there was some part of it that you always thought something about. He had a distinct, amiable, and very simple personality with a very coded sense of humor that you needed a lot more thinking to understand. In terms of like a subtle sense of humor, it was. It especially came out in his interaction with his friends, and especially every time we talked with Professor Piani, there was a constant back and forth that I enjoyed listening to as a faculty member. Like this was, so, it was really a delight, but hard to describe the feeling, but he was a pleasure to spend time with. As a student, I learned a lot from him, but he also made me believe that you had so much to give and he had a lot to learn. But there are many times that I had the pleasure to listen to him play too, uh, which I'm sure all of the students enjoyed the flute that he was playing. Like as students, when you went to do programs at All India Radio, you would play the flute in the background for the programs that we are making. So his poetry, Professor Vijayalakshmi already referred to it, but there was a philosophical side to him. There was a side to him that, like in terms of, in terms of it, I had this paragraph from a report that I worked with him and a lot of other students, and I'll let you read that for yourself. But I'd always admired the meticulous beauty of his handwriting. Right? I mean, if you look at his handwriting, it was so precise, so meticulous. The choice of words was so good. Right? And the carefully constructed sentences, conversation, it had the subtext of a lot of intellectual analysis. For a long time, he aspired to complete his PhD when I was there, until it was all rudely interrupted by the accident where he lost his life. Someone he treasured a lot, but he never recovered from that. But he pulled himself together for his son, got serious and completed his PhD. I still remember that conversation when I was already in the US, already working, and he wrote me and said, "Give me a list of articles that he needed for his literature." And he said he'd pay for shipping. And instead, I said, "He owed me a dinner." So if you look at his acknowledgements, he does say that he said, "And a dinner that I go to Sandeep, whenever we met," but that never happened. And so then there him another blow and he left. So that's where I said, knowing him, a lot of good memories and some bad. But the reason why I chose this topic, and why self-extensive communication was, it was something that we always talked about. We always talk about communication education. We always talk about the future of communication. We talk about the philosophy of communication. And the books that we're reading are all science fiction and futuristic kind of thing, right? So that work with this philosophy. So which is where I decided to categorize it under facts, fiction, science, and storytelling, right? So, and for convenience sake, I'll use the terms journalism, media, and communication interchangeably. There are differences in each of them, but just for the sake of convenience, what term I use just for all the other terms. First thing that I want to talk about under the comment zero.
Yeah, it's easy here, man. Then you so the process is that it is what you should be done here. Then you can push your changes in the box. You must make it to change. Then you might be. You don't necessarily could be his own today. Then we have to have to do. It's not make sure you the with very often expected by technical and Indian several people. I'm comfortable and confident.
Why the first thing that I wanted to talk about under this is how we live in a world where the media is alive. I mean, the news is alive, but the newspaper is dead, right? And but content generation and you that is taking, right? So when you're looking at journalism or media communication, that is what is driving the current kind of phase. So historically, the journalism profession and media institutions were seen as trusted and reliable partners. When I went and studied journalism, I was taught that the press is the social watchdog of society and support its state and all that kind of thing. That no longer seems relevant. But we can still think it is, but that they're reliable partners that watch out for the good of society and kept government under check and those in power accountable. I don't think any of you even believe that anymore. Right. So all the key attributes that were developed painstakingly historically through the hard and diligent work of media pioneers and journalists and reporter crusaders were to ensure the content credibility, right? To ensure the public trust in the profession and also the belief that the content was objective and the interest of and in the interest of the audiences and the larger society. Journalism and journalists hence earned the moniker of being the social watchdogs of society. Or in the last couple of decades, with the overabundance of information, a lot has changed. Mass society has fragmented into niche society. Mass media have been replaced by niche media, and mass audiences have also devolved into specialized audiences. How many of you even read a newspaper? Not the purposes. So, I mean, there is nothing against you. It's just that there was a time when your morning ritual included reading the newspaper, getting the news, or whatever. Like even when I went to school and college, so we did not even have the internet. So now you have the internet, you have your cell phones, your social media, you're getting the news from them. And that is where the problem is. We still media news, but the paper is there. So what happens with that, right? So now uh, media gatekeepers, you had editors, you had other people who ensured that the news that you're getting was fed, that it's something that you could rely on. It didn't matter. You knew Leonardo was filtered a certain way, you knew the Hindu was filtered a certain way, you knew the Times of India was filtered a certain way. But within that framework, it was still reliable. Right? That is no longer the case. Actually, when you get your news, when you consume your news, and you still believe it's real, and I'll get to that in a minute. But media gatekeepers have been replaced by social influences. People that you like either because they're actresses or they're some popular culture kind of figures that now tell you what to think, how to think, what to say, and you take that unquestioningly. The problem is now you have AI on the horizon. AI is taking over the function of generating news. And now, of late, you can even give it prompts and it will generate videos. Right? I'll give you the example in class yesterday of generating this video where people, four people are swimming. Right? And I didn't know this until I went and said, what's wrong with people swimming? And then I realized people don't swim. They just walk underwater. Right? So if you're seeing a video of people swimming, how do you know which is accurate, which is not? Right? And AI creates that. So content is being generated, but it's no longer credible content. It can be credible content, but just because it's content that you're getting doesn't mean that it's content that you're interested in. In all this, the mission of journalism is alive and much needed, but the traditional format has been replaced, and there are several challenges that it has spawned. The delivery format and mode has changed. Audience have benefited from this shift from a push model where the organizations used to push content to useful content. Now, whatever you need, I hear now my students in Hyderabad call it Google Dalli, right? I need to Google Dalli, right? Which was interesting to me because it's a very cultural spin on Google, right? I never heard my students refer to that in the US like that. So, the accuracy of content, the shift instantly from editorial gatekeeping to first off the block, right? Someone just hears something and they just shoot off a video or a content. People just start forwarding it, whatever, without realizing how accurate that information is. Is it something to even forward or not? And it's creating a lot of issues in terms of individual choices and preferences. So we are in a world where opinions have become facts. Right? Earlier, the editors used to ensure that something really happened or didn't happen, or it was interpreted within a logic that was accepted in society. Now, we are in a world where your opinion is as good as facts. Right? Because you believe it, you think that's right. So science has become questionable. There was a time when science was accepted without any question, because science has an empirical basis. Right? So in terms of being questionable now, it's like if you have the theory of evolution. There are schools in the US that now say if you're teaching the theory of evolution, you have to teach all the opposing viewpoints. Right? Think about what it does to dictate our studying science. Right? There's a lot of indisputable kind of things where if you're teaching one that's established in empirical evidence, you're now asking that every other thing, some of them are even based on conspiracy theories, some of them are based on religion, whatever. You need to teach on that. If your library is talking a certain perspective on books, then you have to stop every other opposing viewpoint. And I'll get to that in a minute. So accountability has moved from the producer to the consumer. Right? It's buyer beware. It's like what you want, what you are consuming, you are responsible for it. If you are not critically checking it, then it's not my problem, it's your problem. Right? So the people that have been killed over WhatsApp call. So I'm at this time to underscore the importance of why or why not is important. At the same time, government control, while regulation as policy has fallen behind, government control has become very restricted. Right. So in that sense, this talk is more about fake news, about digital culture, about pop culture, is about the science of storytelling and things like that. Right? And then the reason I gave you all that background is to summarize sort of my slides were for more or less an hour or 45 minutes, an hour and more, but I still have only half an hour. Summarize most of this. Right. So, as we already talked about all our habits and things like that, where I don't know if you can see in the back. Slide is in the back. So this slide is basically talking about how, in terms of our shift from the analog world to the digital world, our digital culture is now sort of guided by all the devices that you have in your hand, right? So these are the different things that determine, from a communication perspective, these are the different C's. Right? Your connectivity, the digital culture, the digital content, uh, the digital community that you're interacting with in terms of the social networks. I've already shared this PowerPoint. But each of this, I can offer a class for a whole semester. Right? So the only thing I'm sort of laying out here is all of these now determine how we interact, what are the trends in communication. And I can go back to this in the interaction part once we are very short. And this is not the entire thing that we talk about. How is this different from legacy media, the old big broadcast organizations, the television station or the newspaper setup or whatever? Uh, as I said, the legacy media are all large organizations. You need people to come into work. You need different people with specialized skills and reporter, like an editor, a printer, and other kinds of things. They're constantly transmitted. And trying to reach you, the newspaper only gets you first thing in the morning. Then we should use some in the evening at 6 o'clock or 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. On that stage, but these are examples of the print media, examples of the new media. But how does it matter? Earlier, information was easy to control. Right? Whatever was put out on a newspaper or television channel or radio station or whatever, it was easy to control. You had a set of people that you could go back to, whatever thought something happened, they were responsible, lost their license or they lost their and they will go on. But that gatekeeping and censorship, we have a free flow of information. Each of you can be produced. Each of you can be journalists. You can set up a YouTube channel, you can just create a WhatsApp blog and forward it. Espouse the most extreme kind of viewpoint. Whatever viewpoint you have, that people find. When you heard of birds aren't real, there was this website that had more than 2 million people that believe that in the US, birds aren't real. That all the birds were killed, exterminated during John F. Kennedy's time. And the CIA and the US government basically put in little drones in the shape of birds to keep an eye on these things. Now, this site, as it turns out, was started by a person who wanted to show the irony in the whole, that people believe it. What he didn't expect was how much it became popular. How much people really believe that words are real. Right, until he got of 2 years of previous in like, but you're selling t-shirts, you're selling this, you're making a lot of money. And people really say, look at the picture size. Looks like a camera lens. So you can take any fan and build a conspiracy around it, and people shoot. That is where it's like when you are free flowing, the responsibility is on you, right? And your ability to think. News consumption, people listen and learn without changing their worldview and beliefs. Anytime something contradicts what you already think, they don't give any credits to that. They think that's wrong. They don't think they are wrong. The incentives are lesser to find out the truth and more for tribalism and conformity. Conformity is where it already fits into your belief, right? It conforms with your beliefs. Tribalism is you're not willing to sort of go against what everyone around you thinks or says. You do not have the courage to stand up and say that is wrong. Look at a lot of WhatsApp forwards. Half of you, I can bet you, don't even read them completely or listen to it something. You just look at the title and forward. Right? Why? Because someone will trust a sentence you, and the title of whatever is something you already believe. You do not for a second stop and say, can this be true? And that's where the problem. There's a preference for lower quality news as long as you're considering belonging to that group and your biases, fact checking and credibility left behind. Increasingly, digital organizations use algorithms to shape your news content. Whatever shows up next on your feed, it's based on what you've already read or seen. And what happens with that is anything that's not in line with that kind of thinking doesn't show. So you will not ever see any kind of information that contradicts what you think. If it was a newspaper, you're reading something, you turn the page, there's something there that you did not anticipate reading, but you read that and it contributes to your information. What is happening then is people are losing the ability to think critically. Critical consciousness of action is being lost. Correct now. As long as it fits into the people's notion, what the forward, viral videos, mob behavior, there are road farms that are set up, like even in the recent US election. A lot of influences were saying how the Russian government and the Chinese government and the Iranian government were paying people to post false videos. Why should I up against some candidate or the other? Imagine tomorrow there's an election in India and all the foreign governments are like creating all these WhatsApp videos. And then AI makes it very easy. All the deep fakes, kind of great example of what happened. So where are we now? We are here. Opinions are your only facts. And my opinions are giving up because my confirmation bias is the evidence. Because it fits in with what I think, I don't need any more evidence. That's the world we are in. And you're comfortable with this as long as someone else doesn't come in and say, no, you're wrong. What's your reaction when someone disagrees with you? It's not for a political leader, especially if you are a religion, and someone comes in and says the opposite. What are one or two reactions that we get? People get upset, people get defensive, people are angry, people sometimes you stop talking to you because you don't believe, they don't believe what they say. People have, it's led to a lot of fight, it's led to people killing each other. So this is the case if you want to fact then I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't because the digital world. Right? It's information, the thing that is known or known to be true, information used as evidence or as part of a report or news article, as opposed to interpretation. How many journalists do you know today that don't interpret? Whether it's Arnab Goswami or Bharti Sharma or any journalistic thing, all of them give you their interpretation. No one gives you this time. Fiction, something that's invented or untrue. The belief or statement that is false but is often held to be true because it's expedient to do it. So, bringing now with in terms of communication and information, there's a lot of information data around. Right? It's like garbage. We go on the road, we see so much written around, all others to clear. That's the world we are. People pick and choose whatever they like because that's something that I believe. So most of it is emotional language playing on people's fears and expectations. And that's a surefire for rating and getting people to get excited and interact or whatever. Because once it appeals to your primal fears, people listen. Like, people are afraid that something bad or whatever is going to happen if you don't take that. And all of this happened because every media organization that is peddling this same information is making money the more you engage. The more people sort of are liking something, the more people that go and check some YouTube video or whatnot, the more advertising you get. So it is a very clear video with facts or information, none of your very works. But if they create a conspiracy, talk about, oh, this community is going to come and like, take over the world, or you're no longer going to worship poor, you want to worship poor. What's not really? We need kind of conspiracy that they can come up with that appeals to your basic beliefs. People find it. And that is what they want. Entertainment is just as good. Most marriage, who's when war races, whatever. Have you ever stopped to think how does it matter? Why do you have PR teams or whatever deciding what costume and the actress has to wear before she steps out of the airport? These are the people calling the photographers and saying, be there at a certain time, take this picture, whatever. Why is there more demand for that kind of counter culture than information that really matters? But that's the world we are in. That is giving solid. Consumer preference for bias and outrage. When we look at data on the research that's been done on what do consumers want, start talking with this because the real news doesn't get the clicks. Right? And when they doesn't get the clicks, gets out. Remember all the algorithms, remember all the kind of things. So, and 6 clicks starts getting views, views start getting advertising dollars, views companies have now incentive. And you saw that in the recent elections. Matter who was what. As long as you created this outrage among people, the ratings were high for each channel. So what can you do? Limiting our contribution to the matter, creating up what we can and incentivizing those around us to do the same. But I mean, this is more on that strategies and things like that. And we'll take that for now. We can come back to that. Or do you think social media is free? It is not free. You are the problem. You're being documented. You're leaving digital footprints every time you go. There's a profile of each and every one of us. Multiple profiles on each and every one of us that is being sold to people who want, right? 20-year-old college student in the Tirupati area, whatever, living in a certain thing, we can get a CD with their address and things like that. That is what is the reason why you get all the spam you get. Right? The central idea is extract of the data and constant utilization. of the user and your behavior as product. And like, it doesn't matter whether you're media management, whether you're law, whether you're journalism, whatever, one of your, right? Because communication technology plays a very good role, and the one thing the principles that we around that. This is what is happening now, big data. You have heard this term before. The volume of data that is being created, even your terabytes and hexabytes of hard drives are not going to be enough. There are all the businesses are using big data analytics to sort of customize your life. I'll not go into many details, but technology, process, knowledge, field. So these are all cases where it happens. Issues. Well, why is that important? Once information is collected about you, it is there for masters. You're out there partying as a student. Somehow one of your friends posted that picture. You go for a job interview. Then does that describe who you are? No. But does that influence who they think you are? Right. So you don't have any control of. So any kind of things like that. Someone else says something about you that gets posted on a Twitter site or a Facebook site or whatever. It's all part of your digital profile. So the problem is regulation and law is 20 years behind. Is in the future. So your privacy, your surveillance, the things are going well. Organizations have the power over populations. Your employer has the power over you based on the data that is there. It's like a credit report, right? And like each of those can be a house law. That gets us to now the point where science is questionable if what it says is not in line with what I believe. I know not that will happen, but the requirement of empirical data is what separates science from your own fantasy, your own belief. It is accumulation of empirical evidence that shapes diverse opinions in scientific knowledge, and it's been accumulating for a period of time. So people have shown over and over again why you add, let's say, 2 molecules of hydrogen to 1 molecule of oxygen, and you get a molecule of water. You can even question that. What I wanted to talk about was the crisis of trust about science. And this was, this I talk about in my book on COVID. COVID-19 was a very good test case. You had all the conspiracies, there were all the solutions that we have had, including one of our presidents saying, injecting light or anything green could solve about it. Right? With this people drink sort of instant magic. Those were things that people drank certain things because someone in authority said them. But it raises the question, why? There's a question, where is geopolitical? But that's the word we are in now. So you're being cured, you're being sort of instigated by misinformation and disregard for established societal structures. And like your questions, then the common thing that you get in the US is that's my right. I have the freedom to do. You know, the freedom to be stupid, but would you read or analyze these trends? Right? Because you're all stupid. How do you understand all that? Right? So it's about you sitting back and thinking, why is it that there's this pattern of behavior? What ensures like that these are happening? What can you sort of theorize from that? And you can forces that are responsible, you look at rational and non-rational behaviors. Social theories tend to be more evaluative than scientific theories, but there is still a scientific kind of evidence that is required, right? So you can formal probability. on loss, we explain it very quickly, and we develop them to storytelling. So every of those work on it, about on the thesis, about on the report, knows that you set up the whole premise, and then you go collect data, you come back, and you test that protocol. So some of the things that are happening in terms of political economy lens, in terms of digital culture, I'll let you know when I have to come back. Yes. So application of data, data analytics, and visualization of information, metaverse and multimedia, cyber security, all those things. But speak that far. It's not really. This is, believe it or not, like in a world where fiction is what people are sort of into, storytelling is making a big comeback. Columbia offers courses in storytelling for doctors. The idea is that you know how to build the story about the patient, the context, more or less. So you take, once you can tell the story of the patient, you can understand the symptoms better, you can understand the sort of treat the patient better. And in every field, right, storytelling is becoming the communication technique that can help you connect with your audience. Understanding where that person's coming from helps you tailor the message better. The individual message better. It's no longer about broadcasting, it's about narrowcasting. Take on. This is a combination of propaganda, AI, deepfakes. This is something that was on social media in the last week about what if Trump and Kamala Harris were contesting in India. How would that look? How would you know this never happened? The people are really get happening. So going on punch. So India, and having said that, the other thing that's really happening and I'm looking is that for mine is that project that that we see now. All the memes, all the individual albums, all the songs that are coming out, right? Small reels that you see. A lot of them are really creative. A lot of them are like, here was all this talent before, right? If it was comedy or some are useless, but a lot, right? Especially from the rural areas, like some of them are becoming celebrities. I saw a video the other day, it had 71 million views over there. And this one person who's in some little team with Telangana or Andhra that is putting on the song. But so there's a good side to that too in terms of reaching out to people, but everything is about the ratings. Right? Everything is about ratings, getting the ratings, converting the ratings to advertising power. I'm probably stopped at this slide. There's a lot more after this, right? To bring it out, right? We live in a media technical society, and it's important for each of us to learn to interpret and understand the culture around. What is our responsibility in that sense? And that is where critical media literacy becomes an important quality. And learning how to read, criticize this social cultural manipulation. And then that makes you more or less an informed consumer of this kind of thing. So stop there, open it up for questions, and then give the right. She can take you from there. Not questions yesterday from Yamani.
It looks like the Netflix survey, when we're talking about decade past, decade wrong with this. And you know, in terms of it's still having a lot from the
Policy to be new clause. But it's also a clause that we can actually implement. And not those start to bring the thing, like why are they propagating certain things? Some of them are done by politics. Some of them are done by media that are owned by politics or this. And all of them are welcoming. Now, like I also said, like not particularly non-association. Problem is that one of the first things that is going to do as soon as it becomes president is to restrict access to all the media that have reported against it.
I think that's the fact.
You need to have both. Have a certain level of regulation, but also, and the reason is like because we look at those, right? So if Facebook comes in, if Facebook did that, right, it's Cambridge Analytica and all that, when they come to collect all your data and are selling it around the world, and you have no control over it, and they say it's my free, then there has to be some limit. Because people can't just take your information and use it for this. But at the same time, you can't have too restrictive kind of thing. But the restriction that the government wants comes in a different way, which is by silencing the media. Newspapers and all, the major advertising revenue stream is government advertising. Then the government is setting the enforcement department after you, or if they are sort of stopping giving you advertising. Everyone automatically important. Which government? So that's the other thing restriction. So you're right in that sense. But you also need to have certain laws in place that prevent hate speech, that prevent right of wow. So people sort of
I totally said earlier was the I didn't have to discuss this.
Absolutely. That's the best option, but yesterday I was asking in class, like, how many of you forward because a lot of people do. So that's where media literacy comes. Media literacy, and like I had slides of communication later, but media literacy comes in where you need to start from probably primary school in terms of why you can't just accept whatever is out there. I showed you the example of Trump and Kamala Harris. I think they were practicing election in India because you can make videos with them. And if you're seeing a video where these people are here in this some village somewhere campaigning, why would you sort of think it's false unless you have the critical consciousness?
There's a feature in viral in from the travel of help and then access to help here. But then people are saying Bobby, getting the point. But then how people share that video, you give the better saying Bobby. It's not very clear about it. Yeah. It's got millions of likes and saying, hey, look, and Trump's basically people are saying, okay, look at the power of Bobby, she's going viral. You're actually saying Bobby.
There's a lot you can look into the way the world is evolving. All over the world, there is different words right-wing fundamentals. All over the world, it doesn't matter how many you right? And why is it that's happening? Then there are a lot of reasons for that, which is another thing. But what is important in that is you are the buyer, you need to be the one who needs to be aware of these things. And you need to be careful about what you consume. If someone said you all get nothing, ask them if you really believe this. I do that with my friends and they say, no, I'll just forward. Why is this forwarding? You shouldn't believe it. At a subconscious level, you think, yeah, you read the title, you say, this is in line with my thinking, you forward. But there's no middle ground anymore. So either you're completely to the left or you're completely to the right.
Social media platform is different and the country that is yeah. People do it. Coaching, yeah.
It's not giving. They wanted to click on it because they get the ring.
How to tell facts from opinion?
Multiple sources, more than one source, different kinds of sources, not the same source, right? I mean, not the same oriented source. Sometimes oppositional sources to see if something really happened. You have to do your due diligence because no one's interested. Now we're getting a world where the news is being generated by
And just give an example. There was just before last elections, in one newspaper it was reported the MLA beat the other candidate. And other newspaper reported the other candidate actually beat the MLA. And I will just went through four newspapers. Two newspapers were saying one thing and the other newspapers is one. And I was sent in the site. So after I know
So
on the fact.
it's telling the story about that newspaper. Right? It's like, what's the story of that? If it's enough, it has a certain way. If it's Archie, it has a certain way. And if Archie, it's like, I'll give you a very simple example. I come and tell you research shows. Let's see with certain corporate groups. And I don't tell you that Kellogg's was the one that funded the study. If you have that information that Kellogg's funded the study, you take it with a pinch of salt. Right? Then, yeah, what else do you expect? I can't say anything tomorrow. That's the same thing. When you're consuming that information, what platform are you consuming from? What is the sort of orientation of that? Like it's like we do that with Fox and CNN. Right? There's a certain way. So that helps you sort of figure out the thing. All those who have done stats know that you can manipulate everything with stats.
Platforms are changing now.
Yeah.
And it's reported to the other side, it's linked to the other side. And which is that also is right. And then dot to the platform page, in fact, the paper say, under is reporting news, but the image is by some.
What are you thinking? How probable is it that it's actually happening? Right? Do you really believe it's objective? And the get sort of very angry and upset because he saw one headline somewhere without understanding of what's going
Communication between organizers. When you different the fiction and the scientific. We did not find story for related cultural background and mythology.
and one of them, let it do that. When for the students, like there's this UNC requirement where professors need to publish in a journal so many times for their PhD, so whatever promotion. And there's a list of approved journals, whatever that you need to publish. One, that list is not restricted like that. Depending on who you have the connection with, certain journals get there on the list. But it's whole industry of the business in this where they create some odd name journal. And as long as you pay, you get something. So I'm doing research on COVID-19. Obviously, $200 saying it's published in there. I can say, whatever. And someone else looks at that and says, this was the part, but that's possible. Right? Then it leads to all these things where people who believe in that say, oh, COVID is a conspiracy, COVID is like drinking bleach, COVID, I think this, that, part. No one's telling you what general article that is, what is the history of the journal. But that is where you're only getting half the facts. It was published, so it was in a journal, but how critical is it? And what is the publishing process of that? The people in communication going and publishing the plumbing journal. Right? All that they needed, yeah, this is focusing extra now. Every other day, oh, you want to go on a state tour, we'll go. You want to contribute a paper, etc. I've never heard of this. But that's the work together. That's where Anyone can produce anything. You can create a journal and make a business.
And also in developed countries, journalists are in town. Like we see other patterns, especially Chinese travelers, Chinese travelers, in marketing functions or anything something.
Co-opting it from societies where it's part of our life. Right? Then all the teams matter and also have CC, they have like a lot of games that I used to play as a kid in my village. They now own copyright and share marketing. So like there's a whole debate about what can you patent, what can you do. And they try to patent the new Indian specification to the until Vandana Shiva and all getting that sort of question. Right, that goes to who has the power to do all. When for thousands of years we didn't worry about patenting it, and everyone was really one American company get the authority to patent this because in the system that they could complete.
Yes, and it used to be the data, when we can understand what that really happened online event. The West part is the same computer water uses terms and related to the molecule. So there are two issues.
This whole thing of greenwashing and other kinds of different things that they say, oh, if you buy this product, will contribute to some environmental cause or whatever. But probably don't I say or whatever to that, but they're still doing it. So if you are not aware of that, you're feeling so good that you contributed to the environment. But actually not. Goes back to you being critically aware of all that. All this is happening around you. You're getting into a world increasingly where even a picture is not worth 1,000 words. A video is not what you need to be able to see. Like there was a time when you said, "Oh, I have a picture to do." It is no longer a.
Are you real or are you no idea?
And that happens. There's a movie called Simulation One, validation in the 1990s. You know that before you born, a lot of when Al Pacino basically, in order to get away from the star status, decides to create his own actors, simulation of actors. And he puts her in Access Hollywood and every kind of news story, creates a video and sort of creates a persona about her. Everyone wants to meet her, but don't get me. So how do you know a lot of the film stars that you think out there are real? For all you know, Arjun might be sitting there in his house and some digital licensed copy of this is acting in Pushpa. That's not happening because I know someone who actually approached Arjun's brother and said, "Can we license this again?" And his brother said, "No, it's because they're not doing it for money. They're doing it for the satisfaction they get from going out there and acting in that dance. At least that's what this person knows. It's real possible. You can create a character like Gollum in Lord of the Rings, or Mickey and Donald Duck, or whatever, and create that brand and create as many digital products as you want. It's about people recognizing that face and the value. And then you have a market product, you can make as much money and whatever, as long as people are buying it. It's not here. You don't know what is real, what is wrong.
So, myself, and when we observe, the concept revolving around the Article 19 freedom of expression and such. So, whatever the fake news is coming to us, though we know that it's fake, we believe in it because it's going against our opinion or something like that. So, whoever spreading this fake news are using this article and they are giving excuses that I have this freedom of expressions. So I just want to know your opinion. That can, as the Article 19 freedom of expression is fundamental, do you think we can restrict this article? And if we so, in what manner we can distribute that?
So there are restrictions already in the past. National security and like your freedom of study and open session, those kind of thing. As long as it doesn't mean harm or accident or those kinds of things, you have to freedom. But these are deliberately worded ways to fix laws, like all the laws. Even to understand the laws. So if you look at the language, none of that says this is it. Everything is a broadly written kind of thing, which is subject to interpretation, and that is where the courts are. Right? They're just sitting there and saying this incident based on this evidence. This is the interpretation of the law. So, and that's intentional because you don't want it to be too restrictive. Because you can't put every single instance of something happening. So then it becomes like a 200-page document on just that particular article. And even then you wouldn't have covered some. So, but it's happening around the world. The whole thing between India and Canada. That's happening with the road between Trudeau saying it's the freedom of expression for these people to say what they're saying. But does it mean we can go into a temple and picture? Then there's a whole thing. So they can protect. But once it gets into hurting people, then it becomes a crime. Right? But how intentional is that, or what is the context that then again there's a even the things that happen. One of the biggest things that happen is after the internet came, most of the hate groups in the US, their membership increased by hundreds of thousands. Why? Because people thought the internet is anonymous. And even though you're sitting in the room with a smiling face with everyone acting very inclusive and all that, you're actually out there on the websites spouting all the hate people. I think it's anonymous, it's not. But all things are proofs that are because of this thing that you think of. But can government do anything about it? No, because it's freedom of speech. The problem is always now, like earlier, and this has nothing to do with this topic, but the whole lone wolf syndrome. The people who are inciting people with hatred and ideology, like wanting to begin violence, have put upon this thing where with the internet they just radicalize people. So once you go and do something, they're not responsible. They say, I'm just saying this, I didn't ask you to go kill someone. But that's a major problem. The lone wolf syndrome, because if it was part of a group or whatever, you can gather evidence, you can sort of infiltrate, have a number of people. But people like that happened in Hyderabad the other day. Someone went into a temple and vandalized the site. That guy came from Maharashtra, was self-radical. Whatever that. Wow. I know it's how do you do that? You know.
So from your presentation, I just heard you say that nowadays political power is religion. As you say, that one particular religion can take all over the world. So it's not the religion, maybe it's AI, don't you think?
It's not anything, it's a redemption and it's an extremist interpretation of the movement. That is becoming very extreme. It doesn't matter which country you take. In the US, Oklahoma, the superintendent ruled that every school has to now teach from the Bible. Doesn't matter what religion the students are. If you are in the classroom, you have to count the Bible. We're talking about the US, right? Which was a global leader, a secular, this. How did it get like that? Because there's this increasing group of people who think there's no separation of the church and the state. So people can pick that up and convert other people to that kind of support. And again, goes back to you being sort of aware that these things can happen and just kind of everything.
One more very, yeah, it's.
Morning, sir.
Yes, you.
Good morning, everyone. Another query, the new entry with the tracking like Instagram. You saw which I get yeah, and 10 times. Or like example, the ground case and the shutdown of the case. I guess because all the so, my friend, what are the ethical measures in practice by media while reporting such cases?
The question is about, I don't know if I heard it, but it was media trials, media things that get literally on instances that happen without really giving you all the facts. And that goes back to what I said in terms of journalism is no longer about reporting. It's about building your brand. So journalists thinking they are the sort of people who know everything, that they can question everything. And like take any journalist, becomes opinionated analysis, right? And with an agenda that you have. A lot of them are on channels that are owned by political parties. Right? And so they're popular, and I know people who go on that channel who say, "Oh, I was on that panel because they flew me there, they paid me 5,000 for the day, but they're there. But they're called urban associates, they're called this, they're called that, because it creates a drama. It creates that kind of thing where it's storytelling, but in a propaganda kind of manner, where you know what that show is going to end up saying. But you're putting people on trial, whatever, without even worrying about what it's causing to their life. But why is it that these channels have so much rating? Why are people watching and listening to them? Because it plays on your ears, it plays on your thing of listening to gossip and rumor and pop culture and everything. Right? That is not journalism. So they call themselves media, they call themselves journalists, that is not journalism. So it's more, you have the mind, you have the technology, you have the channel. So let's read the sensation. Look at all the stories that come about a lot of these celebrities. Things that don't yet deserve the space that they're taken. Right? If you now there's so much space in terms of prime time and whatever that you need content to play up. So which is where you're creating that content. But earlier, for even a 30-second news slot, like say, Doordarshan or whatever, there really had to be a reason why it had to be there because it costs so much money. Now it's other thing. There's so many channels, so many kinds of actors who want to generate ratings and content or whatever. That this is the kind of thing that so whatever the real facts about Sushant Singh Rajput that played out till you found some other story. Then the people got bored. Every time they was like, you blame this person, you blame that person, you blame that producer, you blame this studio. You create all kinds of constants. Why? Because it keeps the content going, it keeps rating. You are getting the advertising. So that is what's driving. No one's really interested in saying, oh, let's solve Sushant Singh Rajput's murder or suicide. Check every story that you see. Should it really be there? I don't think 90% of the content you see are Indian media, especially. And that's true of a lot of media around the world. It doesn't even beat the benchmark of good quality things. That's my opinion.
So I found with the technology and nutrition factors. So I think that nutrition has aspects. Basically, when they see social media and they for some they say it what. And the medical religions and that's, as and it's just like, Western psychiatry as a general second stand is a good option. So that's teachers who are or practicing one of the things or one of the families doing, like you should do. What you should do, like easily affected things. Because there are a lot of details in it, like how or how what can we do in part that anything or something they can create us or younger advice. We are getting a lot of taking responsibility.
Watching the first online bullying, the bullying that happens that I've experienced self-esteem, even especially right now. I've increasingly seen people 10 years old, 11 years old girls that are talking about makeup and branding and whatever, and like they feel it's the end of the world if they can't buy a certain lipstick or a certain nail paint or whatever. Why is that being created? One, you're allowing kids younger and younger to be on Facebook and Insta and Snapchat and whatever you get. And two, they're ending up being bullied by their peers. Right? Either because they don't look a certain way or they don't dress a certain way, and like that affects their self-esteem a lot. There's an increase in a lot of mental health issues among this group of people. And like musicians having a key in terms of trying to sort of deal with this kind of but food, nutrition, teenagers, everything, all of it, take any. There's a whole list of issues that have come up because of the free availability of information. You can go to WebMD and check anything. And if you go talk to someone who's studying medicine, they'll tell you when they're studying medicine, every disease that they read about, they think they have. Right? Because till they really get the complete picture, you think, oh, I have this thing, I have this thing, I've not this. I'm saying, imagine that outside of that, where they don't have the professional guidance, and you are reading all that information. You go on WebMD or somewhere, or some nutritionist or dietitian somewhere says, get up in the morning, drink a bottle of coconut water. And it may be true, it may not be true, but who's to say what is accurate, what is not accurate? And the person you talk to has a new diet. This way, but ultimately it goes back to the credibility of that information. You're consulting authority that knows what they're talking about, experts. You're talking to people, you're sort of critically thinking about whether that is right or wrong. I did mention how authority figures are responsible for a lot of conspiracy theories. So all that is not the problem.
Dr. Sandeep has really get our stated. There was a message. Anyone. Because of the advantage of communication journalism, I extend my sincere thanks to you with us today. Very poignant, very interesting, endowment lecture followed by a very interesting discussion as well. I'm sure the students are taking away a lot of points to think and ponder about, and so are we. And we sincerely hope that we meet you again soon in some manner or the other. I thank all the students, the Department of Law for providing this facility, and the students of home science and students of law who joined us today. Thank you, Professor Haripadmarani, also for joining us. Thanks to also Professor Vijay Lakshmi for initiating this program. Very interesting, very useful. Thank you very much.